Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, today we're jumping straight into some source material. We're focusing on AI, specifically its role in sheer clinical documentation. The course we've got looks at a platform called ClinicalPad, and our mission really is to quickly unpack what this source is telling us about how AI is being, well, pitched as a solution for that heavy admin load that healthcare professionals are under. And, right away, the source makes some pretty attention-grabbing claims, generating documents in mere seconds, and promising significant cost savings. It's quite bold. To help us navigate these claims and the features, just as they're presented in the source, I'm joined by Professor Mo Imam. Professor, the source material really does hone in on a core problem, doesn't it? The sheer amount of time, the effort the clinicians spend on documentation. How does the source actually present this challenge? And what's the main promise that ClinicalPad offers to tackle it, according to this information?
Well, yes. What's particularly striking in this source is how it frames that administrative burden. It's not just inefficiency. It's presented as a direct obstacle to patient care. It paints quite a vivid picture of clinicians being pulled away from patients, essentially, by paperwork. The central promise, as the source articulates it, is a really dramatic reduction in this workload using AI. And the idea is this frees up clinicians to focus on why they actually went into medicine. It's presented as a sort of fundamental shift back towards the patient.
Right. And how does the source claim ClinicalPad achieves this transformation? It details several features. Ambient transcription seems quite prominent. The source mentions various ways to get information in typing, dictation, even recording live consultations, or uploading audio. How does the source suggest this specific feature works to sort of ease that documentation pain point?
The source presents ambient transcription as, well, a key mechanism for really flexible data capture. The implication seems to be that instead of very rigid structured input after a consultation, the system can capture the clinical interaction more naturally as it happens, whether that's through live recording or uploaded audio, but also alongside traditional methods like typing or dictation. This flexibility, as the source describes it, is designed to fit documentation much more seamlessly into the clinical workflow, rather than it being a separate, really time-consuming task tacked on afterwards. It's about getting the core information into the system with, ideally, minimal friction.
Okay, so getting the information in easily is one thing, but the source also makes these very bold claims about speed. It states documents can be generated in under 15 seconds, and it links this to a claimed 98% reduction in patient wait times for those documents. Now, if we take those claims from the source at face value, what are the potential implications for a busy clinician's day?
Well, if the technology performs as the source suggests, the implication for daily clinical practice is substantial, really substantial. I mean, consider the current reality. Drafting and finalizing notes or referral letters can take quite significant time for each patient encounter.
Sure, it adds up.
Exactly. Reducing this to seconds, as they claim, wouldn't just save a few minutes here and there. It could potentially fundamentally alter scheduling, reduce that end-of-day backlog clinicians often face, and maybe allow for more patient interactions, or perhaps simply alleviate some of that burnout caused by the admin overload. The source positions this speed not just as a feature, but really as a catalyst for improved clinical capacity and, of course, reduced administrative burden.
Right. Beyond that initial capture and the speed aspect, the source also touches on other features. Things like teams and tasks for managing workflow, smart templates. It mentions 57 pre-built options and the ability for AI to help create new ones, and also designs for custom letterheads. When you look at those together, what does the source imply about the overall workflow transformation these combined features are aiming for?
That's a good point.
Okay.
When you look at these features together, the source isn't just describing a fancy transcription tool, is it? It's implying more of an end-to-end documentation ecosystem.
Okay.
So teams and tasks suggest things like collaborative review and sign-off processes might be built in. Smart templates, particularly with the AI assistance for creating new ones, well, that implied standardization, but also faster drafting, perhaps by pre-populating sections or suggesting content based on the captured consultation data.
So moving beyond just static forms.
Precisely. More towards dynamic, sort of context-aware document generation.
Yeah.
And designs, well, it adds the professional finishing touch. So the source suggests that from the moment consultation ends, right through to the point where a final shared document is ready, the entire process is streamlined and, to a large extent, automated. It seems aimed at replacing those often fragmented manual steps with a single, cohesive digital flow. And importantly, it also mentions robust security and compliance, which, as the source rightly acknowledges, is absolutely paramount when you're handling sensitive patient data.
Okay. So pulling all that together then, the source material presents ClinicalPad as an AI-driven solution. It's primarily targeting that administrative burden in healthcare. It claims these dramatic gains in speed and cost savings, enabled by features like ambient transcription for flexible input, smart templates, AI for rapid document generation, and these workflow tools. And it's all framed around freeing clinicians up to focus on patient care, seemingly via a straightforward four-step process. Sign up, consultation, customize, and share. So that's a rapid overview of what this particular source material claims about ClinicalPad. Promises of dramatically faster documentation, significant cost reduction, and freeing up clinician time using AI features like ambient transcription and smart templates. For you, perhaps navigating new technologies and assessing potential solutions, understanding these specific claims as presented in source material like this is incredibly useful. If you found value in this deep dive, please do consider rating and sharing it.
Yes, this material certainly presents a very powerful vision, doesn't it? Healthcare professionals spending dramatically less time on notes and, theoretically, more time with patients. The source's claims regarding speed and efficiency, well, they raise a fascinating question. If AI, like the one described here, successfully removes much of that documentation burden, how might that fundamentally reshape the daily practice of medicine? Could it potentially even deepen the clinician-patient relationship? It really highlights the administrative task, not just as a nuisance, but perhaps as a critical leverage point for change in healthcare delivery itself.